On Saturday, December 15th, 2012, I'm going to graduate with a degree in school counseling and guidance counseling and counseling psychology. All three of those kind of rolled up into one. The progression that I took to move into that direction is actually, to me, a fascinating one because maybe it's not fascinating to other people, but it's a fascinating thing to think about for me because I didn't know that I was moving into this direction. I guess I don't know. I guess you can call it God's will or just the universe kind of moving me into this direction. But it's just fascinating to figure out that this is where my life is going at this particular point. I don't feel like I'm even done. I feel like I got a lot more things to kind of worry about. But at the same time, this is an interesting thought to kind of think about. Um, Going back to about fifth grade, um, maybe even earlier than that, I kind of felt that, I was put in a position to where, I felt like I didn't belong for whatever reason. And this sense of or this lack of belonging with people, it bothered me a lot. You know, I was never okay with it. I would go home and I would think about it. I would have situations to where, family members would even, say disrespectful things about me or to me or just say things that in my opinion hurt my feelings. Maybe I was just being too sensitive. I don't know. But, I just never felt that I fit in for a long particular time in my life. And it's not really, a lot of people say, "Oh, that's so sad. That's a bad thing." But, I look at the situation now and it really wasn't a bad situation because, it kind of led me to where I'm at right now. Um, I guess that I could have went down a certain path because of all this bad stuff. I was made fun of a lot. I didn't have the right clothes on. The girls didn't like me. My friends were kind of superficial. Some of them were okay friends and some of them were superficial. But I really didn't fit in like I thought I should fit in. I wasn't popular like I thought I was popular, and I did a lot of different things to kind of try to facilitate my popularity, all of which ended up burning me. You know, there were consequences because of that. For example, in third grade, I figured out that a way for me to fit in school was for me to become a class clown. Now I wasn't funny, but I guess I was an expert at doing and saying stupid things and funny things that made people laugh, that made me kind of stand out because I was always an individual who enjoyed standing out. So I would do these things and I would get in trouble because of it. And I remember, the teacher saying, "Well, he lacks self-discipline. He's a class clown. He's doing this. He did that." And I would get in trouble a lot. My grades suffered, and things of that nature. Um, when I got out of that phase, I came up with the mentality that I wasn't going to do that anymore because I was getting into too much trouble. My parents were saying that I was going to be on punishment forever. Eventually I snapped out of it, went into the fourth and fifth grade, and I just didn't do anything. So since I didn't fit in, by being a class clown, I just ended up kind of drifting off into space, kind of. And since I didn't excel in the classroom, I was made fun of, and again, girls didn't like me. I remember this girl, you know, um, on Valentine's Day, I bought her a card, and she just was just like, "Oh, you like me?" And I didn't really think I was that ugly, but according to her, the way her face looked was just like, what I'm saying? I mean, you're nasty, and that was just like, wow, It's just kind of painting a picture of yourself at that particular time. Sixth grade, the way that I chose to fit in was totally opposite of the third grade experience. In third grade, I was kind of the rebel. In sixth grade, I was kind of the status quo individual. I made the honor roll for the whole year. I got all A's one term. Um, I excelled in academics. I excelled in math. I excelled in English. I didn't get anything lower than a C that year. In fact, I didn't get any C's. And I was proud of that. My family was proud of that. I had benefits for that. As far as outside of school, inside of school, not so much, because that was probably the worst year that I remember as far as my social acceptance was concerned. I did not fit in. Um, Girls did not like me whatsoever. I had a friend. He was a really smart individual, but he really wasn't. You know, I guess we were friends, but we weren't really like true friends. It was just somebody that I was trying to latch on to because he was more popular than I was. You know, he kind of took a step down. I was taking a step up, so I was trying to latch on to somebody that was more popular than I was. Um, the change happened when somebody, you know, came into my life at that particular time. And at this point, I think that I could have went in any direction. I could have got caught up with the wrong crowd. I could have been doing a lot of drugs. I could have been doing a lot of fighting, gang banging, or whatever. But instead of me doing that, I kind of hooked up with an individual. His name is Roger Harris. I hooked up with him, and because of that hookup, and he doesn't know. He kind of, jokes around with me and says that this is not the case. But because of that, because of that connection, because of that friendship that I developed in seventh grade, it kept me from doing a lot of bad things. Because he was a positive person himself, for the most part. And me and him together, with our friendship, was able to kind of, form our own clique. And it wasn't really a fit in type clique. It was kind of a stand out type clique, where we weren't a part of the in crowd, but we were still cool within our own right. And the status quo crowd, the popular crowd didn't like that because we were kind of messing with their power. And by what I mean by messing with their power was we were kind of pulling girls away from them and doing things of that nature. And that was interesting because I didn't understand why we were being hated on like the way we were in seventh grade. But now I kind of understand that as we were kind of a threat to a lot of people who were popular in our middle school at that particular time, Thompson Middle School. So and by the way, I wasn't on Roger's level at all. I mean, Roger, he was a light skinned brother. People liked him, his personality. Teachers liked his personality. He was smart. Um, Girls liked him. He had a lot of friends, and because of my association with him, I started to come up to his level. Again, he stepped down to me. I stepped up to him, and I started to dress differently, and I was now all of a sudden, associated with this person who, was a good guy, and it kind of brought me up, and then girls, little by little started to come in my direction because of him. You know, by eighth grade, I was already, we were like a second tier clique. Meaning that you had your first tier clique where, all the popular dudes was here, and those popular dudes got all those popular girls, and then, me and Roger were like the second tier, along with another friend of mine. His name was Jarrell. The three of us, we were just kind of our own little clique, and we were starting to move into the popular cliques, women and statuses and teachers started to recognize us, just all the things that come along with being, accepted. And that was an interesting feat. The reason I bring that up, and I'm gonna have to cut this short because I don't want this to be too long. But the reason why I bring this whole situation up, and the reason why it relates to my graduation in a week, is because of the fact that you know Roger's involvement in my life was instrumental for me to making good decisions. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm so good now, and I'm so much of a smart person that I aligned myself with somebody that kept me out of trouble. It was purely by God's will, and it was purely by you know luck, by if you have it that way. But I was happy that I was aligned with this person because he uh, was a cool individual, was a calm individual, was an intelligent individual, to the point where I was able to kind of follow along in his footsteps. He was the first big influence on my life, at a really influential stage of my life, because of him, the type of music that I listen to right now, is directly result of who he was, you know what I'm saying? And he kind of guided my life in a direction, you know what I'm saying? Sort of like an angel. I would say that not that he's an angel himself, because he messes up too. But at the same time, his presence in my life was like an angel sent presence. It was God, set me up with an individual who was able to keep me out of trouble and put me in a situation to where I could start to see my God-given talents and what my purpose was and what my gifts lie in the direction I needed to go down to. Now, God could have said, you know what, I'm going to make this kid popular. I'm going to put him in a popular crowd. I'm going to put him in that situation to where he can be, you know, someone that everybody likes. But for whatever reason, God didn't want that, or the universe didn't want that. And I always was kind of envious and kind of, I would always ask questions and say, why can I be like, Johnny or Timmy or whatever the situation was? Why can I be popular? Why can I be, you know, someone that everybody likes? I want to be liked too. I want to be loved too. But at the same time, there was a reason why I was kind of going through this hard time, particularly in middle school. Because I had to feel the pain of the people that I was eventually going to have to help. And without me being put in that situation to where, you know, I was, being hurt constantly over and over again, made fun of constantly over and over again. If I'm not able to feel that pain, then when I turn 28, I'm not going to be able to relate to the kids that I work with who feel the same pain that I felt at that particular time. So even though it was a hard time for me, it was really preparing me for my life and my life's journey and what the blueprint that was designed for me.